Good morning. Hopes that you have been doing well. Today I'm learning a lecture on Forensic Investigation Masterclass Module 1, Part 2. This is a continuation on Part 1. Module 2 is basically about introduction to the fight against fraud and corruption, the 20 strategies that are used or are supposed to be used singly or in a combination for the effective fight and control of fraud and corruption and other financial wrongdoing within an organization or government department. And module number 1, we did strategies number 1 to 8. Today, I'm going to run through strategy numbers 9 to 20. Strategy number 9 talks about biannual, sorry, strategy number 9 talks about biannual or annual risk assessment. You will note here that fraud risk assessment is like carrying out general medical examination for humans. This is an equivalent of general medical examination for humans that is done on organizations. What is the purpose of general medical examination? This is to run through all the tests to proactively trying to discover whether there is something going wrong in the human system. If there are some problems, they will be discovered through the various tests. The same applies to organizations because organizations also need health checkup. If your organization is large and no fraud or corruption assessment has not been done, sorry, out for the last 2 years, you could be having fraud going on undetected as you read these notes or as you listen to this lecture. People do not usually go through general medical checkups, feel good until they are hospitalized, and during that time they discover that it is too late since they had been living with untreated cancer for many years. Therefore, organizations discover fraud when it is too late if they do not carry out fraud risk assessment. Fraud risk assessment is one of the best anti-fraud and corruption strategies. Strategy number 10, whistleblowing policy. Whistleblowing is the best effective fraud detection method in accordance to all kinds of research and surveys. This is by Masoud Mohammed Jordan 2021. A whistleblowing policy strategy number 10. Who is a whistleblower? A whistleblower is one employee who reveals wrongdoing within an organization to the public or to those in positions of authority. Whistleblowing, therefore, is an act in which one discloses to the public or someone in authority any wrongdoing such as fraud, malpractice, breach of health and safety law, or any other illegal act, either on the part of management or by fellow employees within an organization. However, they may not be comfortable to express their concerns because they feel that making formal complaint would be disloyal to their colleagues, their managers, or the organization. They may also fear retaliation or victimization. Therefore, it may be easier to ignore the concern rather than report what may just be a suspicion of malpractice. Purpose of whistleblowing policy. The whistleblowing policy is intended to encourage and enable employees to raise serious concerns within the organization without fear of reprisal, as well as provide an enabling environment and a procedure for the investigation and the determination of suspects' malpractice. The anti-fraud and corruption policy, separately covered, covers all matters relating to fraud and corruption, while encompassed by the whistleblowing policy. If fraud and corruption are suspected, the anti-fraud and corruption policy shall be followed. Therefore, any complaints of fraud or corruption that are reported through this whistleblowing policy will be referred to the organization's anti-fraud and corruption policy. Whistleblowing policy. Whistleblowing policy provides procedures or avenues for disclosing any wrongdoing such as fraud, malpractice, breach of any health or safety law, or another illegal act, either on the part of management or by fellow employees. Adverse personnel action. An employment-related act or decision or failure to take appropriate action by managerial personnel which may affect the employee's employment, including but not limited to compensation, salary increment, promotion, job location, job profile, immunities, leaves, and training or other privileges. Alleged wrong conduct. Alleged wrongful conduct shall include but not limited to the suspected violation of law, infringement of the organization's code of conduct or ethics policies, mismanagement, misappropriation of monies, actual suspected fraud, substantial and specific danger to public health, and theft or abuse of authority. Good faith. An employee shall be deemed to be communicating in good faith if there is reasonable basis for communication of unethical and improper practices or another alleged wrongful conduct. Good faith shall be deemed lacking when the employee does not have personal knowledge of a factual basis for the communication, or where the employee knew or reasonably should have known that the communication about the unethical, improper practices or alleged wrongful conduct is malicious, false, or frivolous. Managerial personnel. Managerial personnel shall include the managing director or the persons that at that level of the manager and above, whether acting or not, who have authority to make materially or to make or materially influence significant personnel decisions. Unethical and improper practices. Unethical and improper practices shall include, but not limited to, an act which does not conform to approved standard of social and professional behavior, an act which leads to unethical business practices, improper and unethical conduct, breach of etiquette, or morally offensive behavior, etc. Whistleblower. This is an individual who discloses in good faith an unethical or improper practices, alleged wrongful conduct to the authority in writing or of fire official hotline. Scope of the policy. Aims of the whistleblowing policy. This aims to inter alia, encourage employees to feel confidence in raising serious concerns and to question and act upon concerns about the activities of employer, contractors, suppliers, and employees. Provide avenues for employees to raise those concerns and receive feedback on any action taken in utmost confidentiality. Ensure that the employees receive a response to concerns and that they are aware of how to pursue them if they are not satisfied. Reassure employees that they will be protected from possible reprisals or victimization if they have a reasonable belief that they have made any disclosure in good faith. Normally, there are existing procedures in place to enable staff to lodge a grievance relating to their own employment. However, the whistleblowing policy is intended to cover major concerns that fall outside the scope of other procedures. These include number one, conduct which is an offense or a breach of law. Disclosures related to miscarriages of justice, health and safety risks, including risks to the public as well as at employees, damage to an environment, the unauthorized use of public funds, possible fraud and corruption, sexual or physical abuse of clients, or other unethical conduct. The staff in such situations may use the outlines given to report it directly to the audit committee chairperson or any of the designated official. The above is a very specific account of what a whistleblowing policy involves. In practice, I do whistleblowing policies covering not less than 15 A4 size pages. The whistleblowing policy must not only protect the whistleblower, but also target and protect the whistleblowing, the suspect. Sorry, strategy number 11, staff balance. Strategy number 11 is talking about staff balance. When you look at the screen, you will see that the title of this slide is slightly outside the viewable screen. The title of this screen, number 11, slide number 11, is strategy number 11, staff balance. Here we are talking about having an appropriate mix of staff such that collusion to defraud or perpetrate corruption is deterred. Staff balance involves having good mix of the following: racial balance, tribal and clan balance, relatives, gender balance, regional balance, qualifications and experience, age. This can also assist in succession preparation. How can the staff balancing assist in deterring and detecting fraud and corruption. Diminishing opportunities for collusion comes on the top. Number two, it increases the perception of detection. It is generally understood that when the perception of detection is very high, that the could be fraudsters think that they can easily be detected, that everyone is watching, they get deterred, and they cannot attempt any perpetration of any fraud. It increases thorough counter-checking of others' work, which is very important. Strategy number 12, disciplinary action against offenders. The forum must be adhered to in order uh, to take disciplinary action to make disciplinary action a deterrent against fraud and corruption. Number one is consistency. It must be seen to be consistent. The disciplinary action taken should be consistent. It should apply to all similar situations and to all people. Fairness. Fairness here means that punishment meted out must be laid down as per the laid down procedures and be seen to be human, not in human treatment. Impartiality. Punishment dispensed out for an offense must be seen to apply to all that find themselves culpable, whether senior or junior. Impartiality causes resentment that can probably lead to fraud perpetration as a revenge act. Strategy number 13. Strategy number 13 touches on prosecution. Prosecution is done or must be done in two stages: criminal proceedings and civil proceedings. The criminal proceedings, the purpose of criminal proceedings is to seek to find out whether the suspect arrested or in court is guilty or not. If he is found to be guilty, if all the weight of the evidences point to him, and is found to be guilty and even confesses, then is going to be sentenced to a number of years in jail. Once he has been sentenced, then the proceedings for the criminal procedure should be used for the civil litigation for recovery purposes, so that when these people come out of the jail, they complete their serving their same jail sentences, they do not find anything to fall back on. This will definitely this will definitely discourage the fraudsters. If they know that they are going to be jailed and after that everything is going to be taken away, then they are not going to attempt, they are not going to risk that too much. Mistakes organizations make. The following are the mistakes organizations make that leads to acquittal of suspects, and as a consequence, they serve a counter litigations for wrongful dismissal and defamation, which lead to further litigation of, against the organization in terms of damages awarded by the court. Organizations consider engagement of forensic investigators to collect evidence as an unnecessary overhead, and therefore just hands the case in the in for prosecution. They just leave the case in the hands of government prosecution without proactively following up. Organizations must hire a lawyer and a certified forensic investigation professional to work with and support government prosecution for effective delivery of evidence to court in support of the case. CIP will deliver expert testimony in support of the case. I know of cases where organizations lost millions of cash to fraudsters. They were who they discovered and they handed over to the court for prosecution, but due to the above mistakes, the suspects were acquitted for insufficiency of evidence, and they later countersued their employers, and they were awarded millions of cash, and the employers ordered to reinstate them. What will you do if it were your organization? The commented stages of litigation, as I've said, they are criminal prosecution and civil prosecution. Criminal prosecution is seeking the conviction of the criminal, whereas civil litigation is seeking for the recovery of the proceeds of crime. And this litigation will deprive the convict of all amount defrauded, so that after serving the sentence in full, he or she comes will have to start from zero again. This will send a tough warning to could-be fraudsters that they will stand to lose badly if they attempt to commit the crime and are caught. Consistency. All suspects of financial wrongdoing must be forwarded to law enforcement for prosecution regardless of their position or political affiliations or relations to the authorities where they are within the firm. Partiality in this matter or different treatments of suspects will encourage such acts instead of deterring them. Secret to effective prosecution. The following are the secrets to effective prosecution, to winning strategy in any white collar crime prosecution. Hire forensic investigator to gather adequate evidence. And if these findings indicate that there is no adequate evidence, to not proceed to court prosecution. There is no need to go to prosecution without being properly armed with adequate and weighty evidence. Here, hire a competent lawyer to advise your organization all the way through the investigation. Do not miss any court hearings. Provide all the information required by the court. Strategy number 14. Strategy number 14. Annual staff records reconciliation. Staff payment fraud can be rare and huge in large organizations or government. I have carried out a forensic audit in a medium-term organization where the payroll officer had defrauded USD 100,000 in a period of 2 years using ghost workers and overstating pay and return schemes. This kind of schemes thrive well where internal controls are weak and staff records are not properly reconciled. Why carry out stock inventory every year and every 6 months and they ignore staff's inventory? The following records must be reconciled to not only themselves but also with the physical staff headcount to deter and also to discover any wrongdoing. Human resources record, payroll records, attendance records. Strategy number 15, thorough pre-employment screening. For organizations to be safe, they must start with clean staff. Staff with clean record. It is generally accepted that human behavior is not predictable. But when you start with a person with a non-criminal history, then you can predict that they will start victimizing you from the first day of his employment. So it is better you start with a clean person and try to keep him clean throughout his tenure in your organization. I was shocked one time when I learned that some large organizations could ask job applicants to get reference letters and attach to their application letters. This is a stupid and a crude way of carrying out employee verification or staff screening. Very awkward indeed. You cannot either screen prospective staff by writing to the colleges they attended or to previous uh, employers. What if the people you are writing to are relatives or close friends of the applicant? What will happen? They will confirm the information you want them to confirm, irrespective whether it is true or false. The best way to do this is to carry out independent intelligence gathering about the applicant's background. This investigation must be carried out undercover or by visiting places or connecting with people on social media and try to learn more about his or her background without revealing that you are the prospective employer. I call this social media forensics, which is covered elsewhere in a full 1 hour lecture. Strategy number 16. Strategy number 16. Holding CEOs responsible for fraud and corruption. The question that's often asked, where were the auditors when things go wrong in organizations should be stopped forthwith, and then the question will be, where were the CEO and the directors? Because these are the people who drive organization. The CEO and the directors are the people who drive the organization, and they are supposed to set the tone at the top, which we discussed earlier on. Therefore, when things go wrong, it is the CEO who should be held responsible, and who is supposed to hold CEOs responsible is the audit committee. The audit committee should uh, look at the recommendations of internal audits, review them, and then respond to the queries raised, and even ask the CEO and the board of directors what they have done to implement the measures suggested or proposed by the auditors. To be effective, the audit committee members must not only be competent, but also be proactive. Committees with 2 all members that already attend meetings to sign for allowances cannot have. Stakeholders can also hold CEOs and the board of directors um, responsible for any wrongdoing within the organization. The stakeholder must make it very clear that in the case of any undetected or prevented wrongdoing will lead to their dismissal, or and no excuses will be entertained. Internal auditors must also take proactive measures to ensure that their recommendations to top management are implemented. In some cases, it may involve sending secret notes to the stakeholders or the regulatory authorities outside the organization. Strategy number 17. Anti-fraud and corruption policy. This policy outlines all the practices that the organization considers fraudulent or corrupt. The anti-fraud corruption policy shall clearly outline what the organization calls fraud or corruption, so that staff is advised to avoid it. it shall give guidelines for accepting or declining gifts and the treatment of the accepted gifts. The threshold of gifts that can be accepted without clearing, accepted with a declaration, accepted, declared, and surrendered to the organization. Declined, some gifts must be declined if they are huge and meant to bribe the recipient. This policy requires that all staff at all times act honestly and with integrity and to safeguard the organization's or government's resources for which they are responsible. Strategy number 18, fraud investigations policy goes hand in hand with the fraud and corruption policy. That is strategy number 18. In some instances, you will find that the anti-fraud and corruption policy and the fraud investigations policy are one, are treated as one policy. This policy outlines the investigation policy rules so that the internal investigation that is facilitated. Within this, the within the investigation policy, the organization will seek consent from its employees to size and image and or investigate forensically the devices given to them, like phones, computers, and etc., without further consent. Within the investigation policy, the organization will be authorized to search the drawers, break into them, break into offices, and carry out investigation in case the holder of such drawers and offices have absconded duty or run away during investigation, so that they do not come back to claim that their privacy was invaded. Without this policy, the organization cannot search, break into drawers and cabinets and even offices of, assigned to staff, and even take computers and mobile phones and forensically examine them without express and written consent from the staff. If a staff is given an office or a drawer where he gives the keys to that drawer, then there is an expectation of privacy. But through the forensic investigation policy, they can be asked to sign this policy to give a blanket consent to the management for carrying out such operations without further reference to any kind of staff. Strategy number 19. Sorry. Strategy number 19. Organizations must stop the stupid practice of being very quick to reward the wrongdoers with punishment, and as they forget the honest workers of the organization. There is a tendency in organizations and even in government that if you are honest, you work where your work does not have mistakes, you do not raise anything like attention from your supervisors or management. They wait until you do something wrong, and then they pounce on you mercilessly. This is a very stupid way of treating the staff, and this can lead to resentment and also to more victimization in terms of fraud. There should be an annual rewards day for rewarding all those that assisted the organization in achieving its objectives through compliance, training out rules, regulations, and the going off the beaten track to save the organization money. Those staff that use creativity to either save the organization money or make more must be rewarded. This will encourage the staff to do more and also the others to wish to be rewarded also by doing better, by doing good for the organization. Proactive staff rotation on the job staff training. This is a very good strategy because when staff rotate uh, in the pretext of training, on the job training, they will easily discover cases of fraud that the occupier of the office has been sitting on. I have discussed more than 20 anti-fraud and corruption strategies in my upcoming book on anti-fraud and corruption strategies for excellence. It would be a nice read for those who are interested in carrying out effective fraud and corruption control. I have given examples that are more specific in the book. Each strategy will constitute a chapter of the module. Conclusion. The overall strategy for fraud and corruption detection and prevention is to know how to deal with the human capital. All systems in an organization must be employed to deal with the fraud cancer by using the human capital effectively. All the above strategies form a common sense approach to fraud and corruption control. End of lecture. This is the end of the lecture, and I can see that there is no person that is following me right now online, and therefore I will make some few comments and then hang up. This training series is meant to cover the forensic investigation master class. If a serious student of the forensic investigation master class follows all these modules, these lectures keenly, and then takes the tests that are posted here on this channel, then is going to complete the course within the stipulated time. The goodness with this is that when the lecture is delivered, it is recorded, and therefore you can come, review it, replay, and then go through it. You can go through it several times as you wish so that you understand what is involved, the content of the course. Next, I will do a presentation on strategies number 1, 2 to 3 on the 9 steps of forensic investigation process. That will be module number 2, and then the 9 steps of forensic investigation process will take us through to module number 7. Many of my students always to ask me how to start an investigation. When I'm going to start discussing the 9 steps of forensic investigation process, I will start with the how you start your investigation, how to attack your investigation assignment, what first things to do before you take up an engagement. Please keep tuned for this series of lectures so that you are able to learn more, be updated, and get your CBL stroke D points for the purposes of renewal of your membership, and also get your participation certificate as a forensic investigation masterclass student. Those who complete this course, the forensic investigation masterclass, and have the required prior training and experience for full exemption, will be exempted straight away. Will get the exemption and be fully certified after completing the forensic investigation master class. Thank you very much, and bye bye.